I want winners. I want people that want to win.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
You got to put your money where your mouth is, Pete.
It's not gambling advice. Thursday, June 2nd. Welcome to Not Gambling Advice, sponsored by PrizePicks. I welcome on Krabs_bets on Twitter, real name Brendan, and we're going to talk about some baseball betting today. He's a very popular baseball influencer in the gambling space on Twitter, so you have to go check him out. What we're going to talk about today, Krabs, we're talking about contrarian betting. We're talking about betting on the KBO, how you approach a slate of baseball games, as well as PrizePicks. And then we're just going to talk some shop about why I'm not a fan of the +1.5 line and why you may be a fan of the +1.5 line. So before we get into all of it, how you doing, man? And I asked Trent, before you answer, I asked Trent kind of, how's he doing? But really, how are the units doing? Because that's how we relate these days.
My units are doing fine recently, for sure. I don't know about my man Trent's, but he's keeping his head up. Honestly, you got to respect the grind for my man Trent. He's obviously not he's no professional gambler. He's a great, sports gambling content guy for sure. And he wakes up every morning after losing bets every night and has a smile on his face and does his show. You got to respect the hell out of it. Because, we have one bad day and we complain about it. And he's been doing that for years. So respect to my man's Trent. Dude's an absolute grinder. I've been doing well recently. Had a couple tough weeks to start out May, but really came back strong. I posted my recap the other day. We're up about 8 units for the month. I've been kind of a volume better, especially with MLB. So I fired off a shit ton of bets. And ended up positive barely. I mean, 8 units is good, but it was up and it was down. It was a damn roller coaster. But for me, I've got pretty big unit sizes. I'm a 500 a unit guy. So 8 units is good enough for me, for sure.
Plenty. It's plenty right now. And
that plays.
And we're talking units, and why Krabs is such a good bettor and so reliable is that he tracks his units just like we do every single day. So where nobody's lying to. These are the picks. We track them and we bet them, and this is how we're going to do it. And it's not gambling advice anyway. But let's go back to the beginning, so people can kind of understand your story and how you got into gambling. Because for everybody, it seems like, at least you and I, gambling has now become a job. We're content creators. We give out our picks in hopes of winning, and if people tail along, they tail along. But when did it start for you? And then when did it become a job?
Yeah. So I've been gambling probably since towards the end of high school, probably junior, senior year. I got into it. Goodness gracious, I was terrible. Bet through a bookie like we all did back in the day before we had all these cool, new apps and stuff like that. I stunk. I was as square as they come. I said, there's no way this team loses. There's no way the Dodgers lose. I was that kind of guy. I think we all are. Everyone starts off, you learn, you got smaller units. That's all good. And by the way, I don't unit shame at all. I don't care about how much people are using for units. That's why I talk in units, and I really don't even tell people about the money. But we don't unit shame here. And this isn't gambling advice.
Exactly.
But I was terrible at gambling to start off. Got to college, started taking it more seriously for sure. Definitely got a lot better for sure. NFL, college football, MLB, college basketball. College basketball is definitely my thing for sure. That's where I got some serious growth on the Twitter. But graduated from college, Virginia Tech, 2020. It feels like yesterday, but it was probably like 2 years ago now. Definitely missed that place. It was dope. No regrets. Really like it. Recommend it to anyone. Did business management there. The plan was to come out of school and do IT sales. And that's what I did for about 2 years. Very successful, liked it, didn't love it. And ran my gambling Twitter, on the side for a couple of years. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I started it in college, or at least I had an account at some point, probably had like 200 followers. It wasn't until, 6 months to 9 months ago where I started gaining some traction. Shout out my guy, Trent, who put me on. I actually came on his stream right when he first started doing it. And I was kind of his regular because I was just on fire right when we started off. So honestly, kind of lucky, right? Lucky how it played out. Was on fire, with college basketball picks, was pulling out crazy bets, taking, William and Mary plus 10.5, and they were winning outright. Some stuff that made his brain like literally explode. So he kept me around. And I kind of, gained a following as well. It's a lot of the bookie community, which has been great. And hopefully I've gained some other followers as well, just by people, following and taking my bets and on my Twitter and stuff. But I was doing, the whole job thing and doing the betting stuff on the side, doing them, 50-50, definitely, wasn't doing everything 100%. I felt bad at work because I wasn't 100% focused on work all the time. I was like trying to craft up my bets during the day and stuff like that. And I felt bad with my bets if they weren't that good. I was like, damn, I was focused about work. I didn't lock in 100% to the cart. So I kind of had a call a couple months ago, just made the call myself, said, you know what, I'm going to give this whole, sports betting, sports media influencer, whatever the heck you want to call it. I wouldn't call myself, a professional handicapper or a professional sports bettor. I wouldn't call myself that at all. But I guess I consider myself, a sports media entertainer or whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. I said, I'm going to make the jump. Called Trent, called the boys. I said, I want my own show. They were like, of course, we got you, my man. So I've been focused a lot on that. Peter, we had you on that a week or two ago. We're going to have you on again this Friday, which is fire. We've been running with that. I've been spending a lot of my time on that, having new guests on, grinding MLB, which is not easy. It takes up so much time.
So much time.
It is not meant for the faint of heart. I'm seeing people on Twitter. My girl Lauren said the other day, she was like, yeah, this whole MLB thing is not for me. And to be honest, that's totally fine. Like, it's not for everyone. And that's why we're here. That's cool with me, right? Less competition, shit. So it's an absolute grind. It's not easy. I personally think it's the hardest sport to bet on.
Yeah.
I really do. Just because there's so much and it's so data driven now these days that it'll get you to overthink, or if you're not looking at the numbers as much, you're underthinking and just looking surface level. Yeah. It's tough. There's games every day. You don't get days off. But that's what I signed up for, and that's what I love. If there's one thing I love in this world, it's betting on damn sports. I consider myself to be pretty darn good at it. I'm happy to be in the position I am right now, being 23 years old, having some money saved up where I'm able to do this, take a risk and grind and prove to people that, I am good at this shit, because I've known I'm good at this shit forever. My friends know it's just, time to prove it to everyone else. And I've been doing that. So I'm super stoked. And I'm stoked you brought up the pick tracking thing. That's huge. A lot of people in this community don't track picks. If you don't track picks, I don't trust you at all. It's BS. If you don't have any, I don't care what it is, even if it's an Excel doc that you can still manipulate, I don't give a shit. If you're not tracking your picks, I don't trust you at all. It has to be done. Absolutely has to be done. How do people get away with this stuff still? It's 2022.
I agree. I track all of my bets, and we got to make sure, just for transparency purposes. So Krabs, giving you back a little bit deeper into the betting, because you said that something kind of changed, right? They used to be really square, and then just the more and more you did it, you just got better and better and better. And you harp a lot on contrarian betting. And some people listening may not know what contrarian betting is. So can you talk to what made you make the switch to being more of a contrarian, as well as what contrarian betting is?
100%. So contrarian betting, it's a betting style. Pretty much it's betting on stuff that doesn't make sense. It's fading trends. It's fading the public, you name it. That's pretty much what it is. To be honest with you, it took me a while to flip my brain to think this way, because anyone could think Yankees -1.5 or Dodgers -1.5 or Golden State Warriors money line -250. Anyone could do that. Anyone could say that the favorite's going to win. It takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes a lot of lost bets to get your brain in a position to really flip the script and say, well, maybe this line is too easy for a reason. Maybe they're giving us this line. Maybe it's a trap. I've always said I'm a firm believer in betting lines are not projections of the game. Betting lines are there to get you to bet on the wrong thing. Now, that's never going to be confirmed, but I believe that in my heart. I really, really do. Sports books are businesses, just like a restaurant, just like a gym, whatever. They're there to make money, plain and simple. They are not here for you to make money. That's a fact. If you see a line that,
we've seen that.
If you see yeah, trust me. If you see a line that makes too much sense, you probably don't want to take it. Just like the Dodgers the last 2 nights. People were saying, no way the Dodgers lose 2 nights in a row. Well, they did. And I wouldn't be surprised if they lose 3 in a row, because guess what? It's gambling. It's sports, and anything can happen. It's so pure. You don't know what's going to happen. And that's why it's so awesome. And that's why I love it so much.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I feel like that's a perfect example that you just said of contrarian betting, because I put it on my Twitter as well. The Pirates and the Dodgers series, the Pirates have won the first 2 games, and the Dodgers have been minus 340 favorites or minus 350 favorites. You got Walker Buehler taking on Zach Thompson, or you got Julio Urias against JT Brubaker on the road, who historically JT Brubaker has not been good. But at the end of the day, any team can win any game on any day. And that's why those lines are too high, because that's much more than a coin flip. Every game realistically is a coin flip. These are all great baseball players who all have a chance to win, like I said, on any given day. So I guess bringing it back to the first point, give us an example of a popular contrarian bet, like maybe a line from today that you were looking at that you felt was sharp, where you feel like the public is all over and you feel like it's a smart bet, but in reality, you're like, you know what? This is why I want to bet the other side.
100%. I'll give you an example. And this is honestly a good example too, because just because something's contrarian or just because something makes too much sense, that doesn't mean you have to take the opposite. That doesn't mean you have to bet it. This is a perfect example right here in the Mariners-Orioles game. I woke up this morning saying Robbie Ray is the guy. Robbie Ray is going to go out there and deal. He's been pitching so much better recently. And I still think he's going to go out there and shove. I like the under in the game. I did not end up betting it. And I'll tell you why I didn't end up betting it, because the Orioles is 1000% the contrarian play here. They're getting none of the money. Robbie Ray, he's won a Cy Young. He's a big name that everyone knows. I haven't heard more trash about a pitcher this week than Kyle Bradish, which is, probably for good reason, because if you look at the guy's numbers last month, it's not good.
Terrible.
It's not good. But, if you right, 100%. And it's the Orioles, right? The Orioles are no good. I know the Mariners are 21-28. The Orioles are right there at 21-30. But the Mariners have a pretty good lineup, a pretty good team. They're projected by a lot of people to be a playoff team at the beginning of the season. People know that. People know Robbie Ray. They know that name. People don't know Kyle Bradish. And you look at the line, right? You see Seattle being minus 140, and you see Baltimore being, plus 120. And you immediately look at Seattle and you go, well, Robbie Ray has to win this game. He's playing the Orioles. He's been pitching better recently. It's Robbie Ray. I know this guy. It's the Mariners. Their lineup is better. I got to take him at this short of odds. This is great value. They should be minus 300. Well, there's a reason they're not minus 300 or whatever. They probably should be more like minus 160 if you're trying to ask for a real true line. The reason they're not, I think, is because they're trying to bait you. They're trying to bait you right there on Seattle. I'm not falling for it. I almost did. They almost got me. But I'll be damned before they get me on that one, because it was close, but not today.
But remember, this is not a foolproof plan.
Oh,
like, for example, you convinced me yesterday with Patrick Corbin, with the Mets not really hitting lefties that well, and with Corbin's decent numbers against the Mets. Obviously, it's spread out over many years of Patrick Corbin, and the recent years of Patrick Corbin have not been good. But we were thinking Patrick Corbin's going to shove today because everybody else thought. But then Patrick Corbin didn't shove. So give me some examples of when contrarian betting hasn't worked for you.
100%. So, it happens all the time, right? If I was 100%, if I was 80%, wouldn't be here talking to you right now, Peter. Yeah, if I was 60%.
60 is amazing.
I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now, Peter, as much
I hope
as I
you
like
would.
you. I'd be honestly, man, I'd probably be on an island not talking to anyone, my own private island, because I'd be so rich I wouldn't have to do shit. It's unrealistic. Anyone who tells you that they're making 50 units a week, anyone that tells you they're 80% or better, I'm sorry. It's just not true. Those people, why would those people be here making accounts, spending time out of their day, trying to get more followers and getting people to pay for their picks? Why would they be doing that? And I really hope the Athletics score here. It's going to be close. Why would they be doing that if they were 80% and that rich? Well, they're not. That's the first thing right there. And I'll tell you what, the Athletics did just pull this thing within one. And I know people are going to be confused when they listen to this podcast, but I don't give a hoot. The Athletics are showing heart, and they're about to cover this game. Hopefully, and Verlander almost threw a no-hitter.
And so people who aren't aware, Krabs is on A's plus 1.5 against Justin Verlander. It's Cole Irvin against Justin Verlander. He took the A's. That's contrarian betting. 100%. And we're getting you another winner here, but you got to tell me, when is it not working for you? Like, maybe because especially in baseball, sometimes all the numbers can point to something, and that just means that's the answer. That's at least that's kind of been the way I bet. It's hard for me to be contrarian because I'm so baseball minded, and I can dive deep into every aspect of the game, the pitch mix, like which hitters hit which pitches and all that kind of stuff. And I can make my best analysis. And we were positive last year and we're positive this year, but it can go through ups and downs because those
100%.
Vegas trap lines can get you. But on the other side, the contrarian traps can get you as well. So let us know some of these contrarian traps that we should watch out for. That you've
100%. Couple things. So number one, I've always noticed that earlier in the week, they tend to give out a couple public plays. The lines, they tend to go a little more public. The bets tend to go a little bit more public earlier in the week. And I'm talking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They tend to get you confident. They get you cocky. And then you hit the weekend, you get a couple beers in you, you start firing off some bigger bets. You know, you're hot, you're on fire. And that's when the sports books attack with the trap lines. That's when you want to be contrarian. That's something I've noticed over the past years. That's a thing. And I know we've shifted from bookies to sports books, which is a W. And I know, you know, back in the day with the bookies and stuff, your week ended on Sunday or Monday or whatever it was, and you start the new week. And I think that's kind of why the lines were set like that. So I'm hoping this trend goes away, but I definitely have noticed early in the week, the books like filling up your pockets, getting you happy, getting you confident. And that's why I personally, because I'm so contrarian, and I'll tell you right now, I'm too contrarian. I'm trying to be less contrarian, and I have been recently, and that's been a big reason of my success, I think. The weekends is when you want to be extra contrarian. It's early in the week. That's when they fill your pockets up, and then they take you for that, and then some on the weekend when you're feeling good, you're feeling dangerous, you're feeling a little tipsy, right? Number two, being around this community and just talking with so many smart people in this industry has made me such a better. And that's a ridiculous phrase, but it really has, because I really do consider myself to be too contrarian at times. I can't take the blinders off. I can't just look, at both sides of the coin.
You've been hurt.
Times.
You've been hurt by the book.
I've been hurt.
Childhood trauma almost. You can't.
For sure. I mean, they've gotten me. It's tough.
The contrarian aspect in football. Because we just met recently, but on TikTok last year, I started just Gridiron Fans, and we were up 13 units in football. We tracked that as well. And, you know, I follow football to the tooth and nail, and I've decided, you know what? I don't really know anything, and nobody really knows anything about what's going to happen in a football game. Bet against the public, and it's going to work. And that can't just be your only thing, but a lot of my picks last year were general fades of the public. And I was up. And there was a lot of times where I did not like taking Jets +7 on the road against the Bengals, but then they win outright. Like, I hate some of those picks. And that's why I love talking contrarian betting, because sometimes you got to hate it so much that you love it.
100%. So two things. Number one, NFL is the most heavily bet sport by far. And that's where you want to be contrarian. Talk about that's where you want to fade the public and take stuff that doesn't make sense.
That's
NFL
why, like,
is where it's at. 100%.
Twins, Tigers under. Like, what should I just be contrarian? Like, all the numbers point to the under. How many?
Baseball's tricky, man.
What's the public all over that under, and then I have to be contrarian to bet the over because I have the under in Twins, Tigers tonight. This is being released on Thursday, so you can see the score after you're done listening to the podcast. And maybe it went over, but I have the under because everything points to the under. But I don't want to be contrarian because that's not a public play. Come on.
Right. And to be honest with you, MLB with so many games, I don't think the sports books have as much time to spend on setting up those lines. So the lines are a little bit softer. NFL, they've got their best guys on that shit. You better be on your shit if you're betting NFL, because that's where they make their money. It really is. And number two, a quote that I live by, and at one point I'm going to write a book. It's going to be called The 10 Commandments to Sports Betting, and it's going to be a bestseller. It's going to be written by me, and it's going to be an incredible sports betting novel. If anyone steals that idea, I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come get you. But one of the main quotes that I love so much is from Stu Feiner. Do you know Stu Feiner?
How can you not?
Of course. One of the biggest gambling legends of all time.
Yes.
Stu Feiner said, you should never feel comfortable when placing a bet. If you feel comfortable when you're placing a bet, the books got you right where they want you. You're probably betting on what they want you to take. And that comes full circle right back to what I was saying, is that those lines are not projections. Are they relatively projections? For sure. Are the Dodgers, like them being -250 today, is that a projection of the odds of them probably winning? Relatively, for sure. But I'm telling you right now, they're there to get you to bet on the wrong shit. There's a reason the books are open. They're not open to give you guys free bets and free easy winners. Like I joke about it too, saying like free squares on prize picks or free bets, that's free, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I mean, if it looks free, it's not. Honestly, it's the opposite. And that's when I hear a bunch of people, come on Trent Stream, or I hear a bunch of people just in general, honestly, not even to do with Trent Stream. When I hear a bunch of people in general talking about one bet, giving a reason, this is free, this is easy, you hear it all the time. That's when I flip the brain and I take the opposite hard. Because if the people are saying, take this, it's too easy, well, it's not, and it's going to lose. Six times out of 10, it loses. Not 9, not 10, 6 times out of 10.
This is coming from a place of trauma. This, like I said before, this is coming from, I've been there, I've been hurt, and I'm trying to tell you don't make the same mistake that I made.
100%.
So
people think I was born this way. No, I went through the ringer just like everyone else. And I'm not saying never bet a public play ever. Guys, I will say I will be open about when I take public plays. I do it every once in a while. I'm trying to do it more because at the end of the day, you just got to click the right square on the damn screen. That's all you got to do. Square, contrarian, whatever you want to call it. You just got to click the right button. And that's what I've been trying to do more and put my blinders off a little bit. They're still on. Trust me. They're still there. They're not as tight. They're not as tight like this. They're loosened up a little bit, but gosh, at the end of the day, you just got to find winners you don't just have to fade the public or be an ass and take the opposite of everyone else's bet all the time. Now, if you do that and you have bankroll management and you're smart and you pick your spots and you don't blow your bankroll on the weekends when you've had too many drinks or you don't go in the online casino, then being a contrarian, most of the time, that's going to make you money in the long term. 100%. No doubt.
Agreed. And something that has been making us money lately, especially when we do our Twitter spaces daily at 2 p.m. Eastern on my Twitter at PeterApple23, but Krabs_bets on Twitter. That's Krabs right there. Brennan, who's also doing Twitter spaces. So make sure you go follow him. But we're talking about PrizePicks because PrizePicks is the sponsor of Not Gambling Advice. And if you use code JustBaseball, you get a full deposit match on your deposit on PrizePicks. Use the code in our episode description. You can find the link in there. You click that, and whatever you like, if you deposit $100, you get a free $100 to play with us for free. So, Krabs, I want to talk about how you approach a slate of PrizePicks. Like, what are you looking at? Are you looking at other books? You want to see the line there? How do you decipher what to do with PrizePicks on a daily basis? Because it's player props. It's different. It's not always, yes, Trout over bases is normally the public play, but it's a lot of different props. So not all the time can you be a complete contrarian on player props, but you like to do so.
100%. And honestly, I'd probably consider myself to be less contrarian on PrizePicks because for a bazillion reasons, honestly. Number one, there's some sharp dudes who have been hooking us up with some winners recently. My guy Javon, who does my show with me Behind the Lines on BookItSports Twitch every day before Trent Stream at like 11:30, 12 p.m. Eastern time every weekday. If you guys haven't watched that, come check that out. It's fire. Guys like him and a ton of other people coming in our Twitter spaces, spoon feeding us winners day after day, whether it's square, circle, triangle, contrarian, whatever it is. I'm going to take your play if you're coming to me with winners straight up. So that's one thing. Trusting other people, I actually do it more with PrizePicks because there's some sharp ass people out there with these player props more than me. Yeah. I wouldn't consider myself a 10 out of 10 sharp on player props or PrizePicks.
That's what I'm trying to get better at too. Me too.
100%. PrizePicks are new to me relatively. Haven't really bet them until betting became legalized about a year ago in Virginia here. So I'm learning on the way. But I'll tell you right now, trusting other people who know what they're talking about, trusting people who know their teams. My guy Javon knows the Rays like the back of his hand. Trusting him when he tells me to take a prop on his team, 100%. I'd rather take a prop from a fan than take just a team of the fan because I think the bias really comes in there, but nobody knows their teams better than the fan. Nobody knows the Yankees better than you. Nobody knows the Nats more than me. So I trusting other people with player props more than me just saying take Nats ML, right? Or you taking Yankees ML, although you've been probably very profitable if you've been doing that.
I think to your point too about the Yankees, and I totally agree with you because there's something about fans, and that's why I love being on TikTok, and that's why I love being able to talk to so many people, so many of the people that follow us, is because a lot of people are more ingrained in their teams than some of the writers are that I see on bigger websites, because a lot of fans watch every single inning and can decipher what's going on with their team, especially after you've watched years over years. You might get a new beat writer for, the Royals, who was hired from the Twins and now has to start writing for the Royals. Does that person know more than the Royals fan who's been watching for 30 years? No, but that Twins reporter turned Royals reporter is going to be more widely publicized, and they may say, yes, this is why I love the Royals, but you're new to the Royals. So I love listening to fans of the team that watch their team day in and day out. And I know you do too.
100%. 100%. I also think, no disrespect to PrizePicks at all, I really do like PrizePicks. I use it. I'm a partner with them as well. I think it's an unbelievable idea, an unbelievable platform. It's extremely clean. I like using it. I send a PrizePicks every day. The lines are a little bit softer than normal sports books because they're new and they're learning, and they're going to get better as time goes on, but there's definitely opportunities to make some money, make some coin, and find value on some of these spots. I've also noticed, how there's all these new categories now with baseball, or just honestly all sports in general. And they're going to keep adding stuff, which is great for the program, 100%. I always found, it's always weird to me when I see a player on here and they have, the main one that's been a cash cow for us has been runs plus RBIs over a half. Finding players that have that prop up who don't belong on PrizePicks, who usually aren't good hitters. Guys like Robles, and I know I gave you Robles the other day and it didn't hit, but I'll tell you right now, anytime I see Victor Robles on PrizePicks, I'm taking that over 1,000%. Anytime I see Maldonado on Houston on PrizePicks, I'm taking that over every single time, because everyone sees that immediately and they go, this guy stinks. I'm taking the under. This is free. Why is this even up here? It's never up here. I'm taking the under. Well, you fell for it. They got you red-handed. That's something I've noticed for sure. And that's something definitely to keep in mind going forward. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned so far. There's little things. If you spend a lot of time in the app, you'll notice them. A lot of times they'll have a guy's total bases up, but not his fantasy score and not his hits plus walks. And whenever I see a guy's total bases up there and not his fantasy score, hits and walks, I like taking that guy's total bases, because there's a reason they took down the fantasy score and hits plus walks. And it's probably because his total bases is going to smack. It's probably because he's going to have a good day. People hammered him who are smart. And I guarantee you PrizePicks flags people who are smart. Guaranteed it. Just like books do. Books flag people who are smart all the time. If you're too smart, if you're too good, they'll kick you off the book straight up. Just like if you're at a freaking buffet, staying too long, they'll kick you out of the buffet. It's the same type of thing. It's a business. And I'm not saying that's right. It's honestly not right at all. But they'll do that. And I guarantee you PrizePicks has, the smart people. They got Javon on there. I guarantee you they got him marked, because whenever he says something on stream or whatever, it changes right away. It's nuts. The kid's sharp as a tack. I get it. Smart move by PrizePicks for sure. But looking at little things like that, and we're learning as we go, right? I'm pretty new to PrizePicks. I've been using it for a couple months, but I've made my amount one right there is $7,500, and I've probably put like $2,000 into it. So we're definitely making money off of it, which is a dub. But honestly, man, I think other people the most, and I think the Phillies are about to score here, which could be huge. No, they're not, because they're so slow and terrible at base running and everything else besides hitting. And we can get to the Phillies after this. But using other people, running these Twitter spaces, your Twitter spaces at 2:00 have been fire. My Twitter spaces at 5:00 have been fire. Like collabing. And, talking about what you like, talking about what you don't. That's how you make money. And that's how you come up with winners. Having everyone give one pick instead of one person doing 5 picks. If I give 5 picks on a PrizePicks myself that I craft,
and you might hit 3 of them. You might hit 3 of them. Like, they might be sharp, but like, you're not hitting, probably not going to hit all 5. But if I give my best pick, you give your best pick, Javon gives his best pick, then we get another best pick, and then one more.
That's what
we can win. And that's why we have
way easier to hit one. It's way easier to hit one than you to come up with your own 5. From experience too. I tried to do it on my own when I started. I'm a lone wolf. I like doing shit on my own. I like coming out on top on my own. I learned the hard way after I lost a couple grand in PrizePicks. I was like, F this. I'm going to start doing spaces and getting some collab going, because communication is key. Collab is key. And that's a huge W for gambling Twitter and just social media in general. There needs to be more collaboration. And I think we're doing a good job. There needs to be more communication and collaboration between smart people in the space, so that we can attack the lines, attack the books together, because they're only going to get smarter. I listened to my guy Stuckey on the Action Network talking about on his podcast. This is back during college basketball. He was talking about how sharp the lines have gotten towards the end of seasons. I think he was specifically talking about college basketball. He was saying, I think they were talking the finals, like the finals, whatever. And he was saying, wow, this line is very accurate. The books know what they're doing. They've learned how to do it. Lines are definitely softer in the beginning of seasons, but it's also harder as a person to bet in the beginning of the season because it's a new season and you just don't know. That's just simple fact. But I will say the sports books are getting smarter and they're only going to continue to get smarter. So we need to work together on coming up with winners because that's the only way we're going to win in the end.
So use code JustBaseball, join our Twitter spaces at 2 p.m. Eastern, join Krabs as well. We'll drop his Twitter in the episode link description so you can find him directly on Twitter. And then we'll be doing PrizePicks. So if you want to follow along, we're winning. Make sure you click that link, get a full free deposit if you use code JustBaseball. And to wrap, I really do want to ask you about the +1.5 lines.
Yeah.
But that may be just kind of a shorter thing that we can talk about at the end. Let's talk about the KBO before we wrap, because I see you giving out KBO picks. And to be quite honest with you, I follow baseball, at justbaseball.com and through Just Baseball Media, we cover, MLB prospects, college, fantasy baseball, gambling, and trading cards. We don't follow the KBO. I don't bet on the KBO. What made you want to put some of your eggs in the KBO basket?
100%. So if there's one thing I've learned in this space is that people don't want to be told what to do or how to bet, or you should do this, or you got to look at that, go to this website. They don't. The people want spoon-fed winners straight up.
Yep.
And that's fine. That's just how it is. That's how it's always going to be. People want to be spoon-fed winners. They don't want to learn how to bet themselves, which is totally fine. That's what I'm here for. Peter, that's what you're here for.
That's what I'm here
for. That's why we're making a name for ourselves. I'm not complaining. Trust me. I actually like it.
That's
that's what my job is to do. Now, the people, I don't think there's anything that people love more than waking up to a KBO winner. I'll tell you that right now. And I need to trademark this, but it's better than coffee. It's better than coffee. I don't think I've ever gotten out of bed faster than when I check my phone, wipe the crust out of my eyes so I can freaking see, and check the KBO score as the Phillies just scored. Let's go.
At a baby.
There's nothing better.
Phillies a band though. Why'd you allow the Phillies out of the?
Because I'm a freak. I don't know. Because I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it. I couldn't resist.
I know.
The line was too. It was too weird. I had to take it. But yeah, it literally, I jump out of bed in the morning when I hit a KBO bet. It's unbelievable. And if I wake up to a loser, I'm like, shit, I'm going to back bed for 15 minutes. But there's nothing like it. It's
so how do you bet it?
How do I bet it? Gosh, there's a couple things. So the My KBO app, which is fire, which is honestly hysterical. Anyone can download it. It has all the schedules, all the stats, the standings. So that's a huge resource. There's a couple guys that I trust that I've found on Twitter who've been doing this shit for years. I will be fully transparent and honest. Have I bet the KBO before this year? 100%. But is this the first season where I've really actually followed it and I check the scores every night, whether I'm betting on it or not, to see what's going on so I can track it and try to actually give out winners? Yup. This is the first year I've actually followed it. Really actually tailing it, not just clicking random buttons.
Yeah.
I've found that it's similar. It's, they play series over there. There's 10 teams. And the discrepancy, gosh, how can I say this? The skill gap between the teams at the top and the teams at the bottom, they're pretty significant, I would say. There's a team, Hanwha. They are terrible. They will always be in the basement of the KBO. They always have been. They always will be. And there's a couple teams who were always very good. Although the Doosan Bears aren't great right now, they're a historically very good team. But this year, it's definitely SSG. They are insanely good. They are 35-15, if you're wondering what they are. I think they have a couple ties or something like that, but they're 35-15. By far the best team in the league, followed by Kiwoom, and then I think Kia's in third. But I've had a very good time following this. There's not as many old MLB or American players as you think, to be completely honest with you. So that was a little bit disappointing for me. I thought I'd have a little bit of an edge just having some good MLB backgrounds. And I really didn't. I had to learn from scratch. And I'm pretty sure Castellanos, oh my gosh, Yastrzemski just robbed a home run. Unbelievable. That just
we're getting live, Krabs.
Took the soul right out of my body. Castellanos, deep drive to left, not deep enough. Gosh, but I do love the KBO. And I'll tell you why it's popular, because if you see people on Twitter, like Hammer and Hank and a couple of these other guys who are sharp, Kim's Picks, these guys, I don't think I've seen tweets get more interactions than a tweet from someone late at night saying KBO play. Who wants it? People go bonkers for that because they either lost a bunch of money during that day and they want to be spoon-fed a winner, or, there's just no action overnight, or maybe someone can't go to sleep and they want to watch the game at 1 a.m. The games are at 1 a.m. on the weekends, which is pretty cool. They're on at 5:30 a.m. Eastern time during the week, so I don't watch those. I just wake up to winners. But the 1 a.m.s I've dabbled, I've watched, and you can stream them very easily, and it's very entertaining.
So let's talk about the +1.5 line, because I never bet it. I've never bet it once last year.
Okay.
I've never bet it this year. And I bet one time +0.5 through the first 5 innings with the Blue Jays. Big loser. So I've decided I don't really want to bet +1.5 anymore.
Yep.
Convince me.
Okay. So there's some spots where taking +0.5 first 5 and taking +1.5 is extremely profitable, in my opinion. Now, there's also spots like tonight with the Dodgers and the Pirates game, where, in my opinion, with the total set at 9 and with the skill discrepancy between the teams, the Pirates are either going to win that game or they're going to lose by 6. So there's no reason to even dabble with the +1.5. The Pirates are either going to pull out another Christmas miracle or they're going to get shellacked. Who knows? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I will say it is 100% a confirmed fact that the +1.5 spread in baseball is a profitable play long-term. If you've taken +1.5 in every single baseball game over the last decade, you are up money. -1.5 in baseball, you really do want to stay away from it. I bet it sometimes. I really try not to, because it's like I've said on this podcast 100 times already. Anything could happen.
Anything can happen. And you could dominate a full game in baseball and only win by 1 run. That's the thing. Like if you, let's say, or like the bullpen blows at the end, you're winning 4-1 and then it comes in at the end. So for example, give us a better example might be your A's bet today against the Astros.
Literally.
So why was Cole Irvin and the A's at home against Verlander a +1.5 bet, maybe over a money line bet? Like 100%. Kind of give me your thinking there too, because that thinking can be extrapolated over other games.
This is easy. So number one, I look at the total. Like I said, in that Dodgers Pirates game tonight, the total's at 9. I think we might see some runs. That might be a rout, or the Pirates pull out a crazy win. I don't know. I honestly might bet them myself, so I don't want to talk any trash. But you look at that Oakland-Houston game, I'm pretty sure that total was very low. It was at like 7.5. So when I see totals that are that low, that's when I really do like taking the +1.5, because my thought process there was, okay, Oakland might lose this game, but if they do, it's going to be a low-scoring battle. It's going to be close. Is that what happened? No, they lost 5-4. Did they cover though? Yes, thank goodness. And then they did get pretty lucky, I will say. But that's kind of my mindset. If I see a low total, I do like taking +1.5. If I see a low total, I'm not going anywhere near a -1.5, because that tells me it's about to be a low-scoring, probably a 1-run, maybe 2-run, maybe 3-run game. That's what it tells me. So I automatically look right at the total. But that's why the Oakland game was a perfect example. The total was so low. Was that the outcome? No. But the total was low. I looked at it. I said, Oakland's going to keep this one close 100%. I'm going to fade Verlander like a freak. It paid off. It paid off. Like I said, you should feel uncomfortable placing a bet. If you think I felt comfortable locking that bet in, you're nuts. I do not. But that's how I knew it was a good bet. Straight up.
That's the message of this pod today with Krabs. If you have a bet and you feel comfortable, maybe take a step back and realize, you know what? That's where they want you. Where they want you.
They got you right where they want you.
So thank you, Krabs, for joining us. This is the Thursday episode of Not Gambling Advice. Again, use code JustBaseball on PrizePicks in order to get that full deposit match. The link is in our description. Krabs, plug anything before we head out.
For sure. Guys, go to BookItSports Twitch, drop a follow, whatever you want to do. Go to my Twitter at Krabs_bets. Every single weekday, Monday through Friday, I'm running a show. It's MLB focused, but we do talk other sports too. Like tomorrow, we're talking a little bit of PGA. We'll have people coming on to talk. And like today, we talked NHL a little bit. Behind the Lines, I'm the host. I'm running it every day, 12:30 to 2 p.m. Eastern time, right before Trent's stream on Twitch. It's been fire so far, bringing people on like Peter, bringing smart people on, talking betting, talking sports, talking whatever. I've had Brian Johnson on there, a kicker on the Commanders, had a minor league baseball player coming on. It's not all betting, it's sports. It's everything you want to hear. It's like Pat McAfee type show. I'm standing up, being a freak. We're talking whatever. I'm asking weird questions. It's an interesting show. Check it out. If you got time during your lunch, definitely worth it. Peter, I appreciate you coming on, or I appreciate you having me on, my man. Happy to do this again. I really do like talking baseball with you. I told you when you came on my show last week, we could talk baseball for 10 hours straight.
10 hours straight. Easily. That's why I could even keep asking questions, but I know that we don't have that much time. So I really do appreciate you, Krabs. I will be on that stream Friday and we're going to have a time. And hopefully some people learn something about KBO, contrarian betting, or maybe that +1.5 line. And may have to start taking those when I see that total. So thanks so much, Krabs.
Definitely, my man. You know, I like you if I'm talking with you and you're a Yankees fan. So keep it up, Peter. You're killing it.
Thank you, bro.
All right, bro.